Hey there, it's Pete over at the Sampleist, and today we are checking out StrikeForce 2 from Laboratory Audio. Laboratory Audio are back with StrikeForce 2, a follow-up to their critically acclaimed cinematic percussion library StrikeForce. Featuring huge ensembles, smaller solo instruments, and a variety of metals, this brand new library is designed to expand your percussive palette and is of course a complement to the original StrikeForce library. StrikeForce 2 doesn't feature your standard bass and snare drums. The instruments are unique, they're original, and they are custom made. With a huge range of velocity layers, round robins, and more instruments than you can shake a stick at, StrikeForce 2 is both epic in size and sound. Speaking of sound, there are both close and far mixes with the ability to dial in everything in between. StrikeForce 2 downloads at 16 gigabytes and has been delivered in 24-bit 48 kHz resolution. It runs in the free Native Instruments content player and is of course NKS compatible. It's currently on intro price of $440. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Laboratory Audio for sending over a copy of StrikeForce 2 so we could make this video. While we received the instrument for free, it does not in any way cloud our thoughts, judgments or ideas about the library. We're just working composers checking out the wonderful libraries that the developers send us. Please subscribe to our channel. We have lots of videos going on, and of course we don't make a single dime, cent, penny, depending where you're viewing from, out of these videos. We have no affiliate links, no advertising. It is all about creating content about these brilliant libraries and passing the information on to the composers. So with all that out the way, let's take a look at StrikeForce 2. In this video, we are going to check out the instruments. We're going to scratch the surface because there's so much content in this one, and we're going to see how the instrument works, how it's put together, all the different controls, and then of course I've thrown it into a composing piece, and we're going to see what the composing experience is all about. So without further ado, let's check out StrikeForce 2. And here we have StrikeForce 2 loaded up in the Native Instruments Complete Control player. Sounds absolutely fantastic, cinematic to the core, sounds brilliant. On the left hand side you can see we have the instruments tab, and we have big percussion, we've got small percussion, and we have miscellaneous percussion. But I can't play through any of that until I explain how the instrument works, because there are some brilliant features and it all makes sense when I start the playthrough. So first of all, you can see the round robins. Absolutely lovely, and the instruments are slightly panned left and right. However, the layout is really, really interesting. So you can see there are 5 colours. We've got red, we've got blue, we've got purple, we've got yellow, we've got green. On the left hand side, there are 2 keys for each color, and these are kind of like quick performance keys. The purple is really important because that is the octave that the instruments have been recorded in. So these are the original sounds of the instruments, and then they have been transposed into different octaves. So if I play the red keys, they're a lot lower than blue. Then our original purples, then we've got yellow, and then we got green. So if you want to do some quick performances, okay, there we go. Obviously it sounds great when you layer 2 octaves together. Playing single notes, that's not great for your arrangement, but together, my goodness, they sound great. Okay, so that is explaining the quick performance keys. Now, if I've just moved my controller up, you can see we then have the same colors in the same order, but these are stretched across the octave. Now, the purple keys, so C4 to B4, are the original recordings. And this is all about the velocity. And it's really, really clever. So on C4, we have our lowest velocity. And that is quite literally the performer touching the skin of the percussion instrument. And then, of course, I hit it harder. And the velocity does go up. But it doesn't go up to the levels where B4 would be, which is the loudest velocity. It's amazing. So what it means for us as composers, we have this brilliant velocity range. And then everything is same in terms of velocity across different octaves. So if you start mixing the different octaves, yeah, you get so much control over the instrument. So that is the layout, and it just means everything is laid out in front of you and you can just compose away. It sounds great. And then the next one is the mod wheel. So if you use the mod wheel, you will adjust the far and close blend. And I've got to confess, I went straight for the big percussion, and the Galaxy Drums Ensemble is the first instrument in the big percussion. And I was just thinking, well, this is a cinematic library, so let's make it as far away as possible and big and epic. So yeah, you got this massive room sound. And then it goes really close. And this is what has impressed me so much about this library, is the close signal. It sounds amazing, no matter where you play it. Which octave? I love those little taps. Sampling just so lightly and so cleanly is incredible. Okay, went a bit triplety there. I've got to lean over my mic to access the my MIDI controller, so yeah, a little bit awkward, so apologies for that, but my goodness. If you put on your own third-party reverbs, for example, you've got really, really close mic drums to work with. Brilliant. Now, you can adjust the close mix and the far mix, and then, of course, the mod wheel is exactly well, it's precise where you put the crossfade, and then of course you can have the mix amount, so if you want more close and less far, you can adjust all that. So really cool. I'm not going to play around with the ADSR controls, but you have those. And then obviously I've mentioned the round robins. You can adjust the pitch as well. So I've just gone quite a bit more trebly just on the close mix. I say trebly, I meant higher. So yeah, you can have a lot more fun. Let's just go like this. So you can adjust the timbres, really cool. You've got the velocity curve you can adjust, you've got the sample start, you've got the panning. Really, really easy to use, but the layout is absolutely incredible. The velocity control is amazing, which is obviously connected to the layout, and of course you've got the blends of the close and the far mix and all the controls associated with that. So I feel like when I compose, I'm just using the room sound. I do not need to add my own third-party reverbs. In the past I have, but I didn't feel the need to on this one. So sounds brilliant. Now let's talk instruments. So we've got big percussion, small percussion, miscellaneous percussion. Big percussion. Well, we've already heard the Galaxy drum ensembles, but you can see how many different ensembles and solo drums you have here. So I'm just going to pick out some. So we've got the Warrior Ensemble 2. Okay. It sounds absolutely fantastic. And of course I'm trying to move around the different octaves, so that is like a bit of a blend at close. Yeah, and then a bit further away. Beautiful. Let's just load up another one. Big floppy head, Flam 2. So it's good to point out that these are not just your standard instruments. We can't see snares, bass, toms, etc. Lots of different types of instruments. So this is a bison drum ensemble. I've mentioned the fact my eyes are not what they used to be, so if I do pronounce something incorrectly, it's just my vision at the moment. But hopefully that will get corrected shortly. Lovely. So we've already got tonal variation going on. Let's go for the next one. So Grand Diplomat Ensemble 2. Yeah. So I'm much more imaginative when I'm composing, believe me. But when I'm just sort of finger drumming and trying to move through some octaves, it sounds fine. We're getting the idea of exactly what it all sounds like. So, Rattle Drum Ensemble 1. Brilliant. Skin drums, ensemble 1. Yeah. So the idea is obviously you blend these different ensembles on different tracks. And again, I'm going to point out there are no loops in this library, and I prefer composing without loops. So of course, if a library does have loops, hold down a key, it plays a loop. Really, really cool. And there's been some fantastic libraries and lots of great work done around loops. But if you want to sound unique, you won't be using loops from different libraries. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So it does make you think about your arrangement, your lows, your mids, your highs, which are really easy to access just in the same instrument, and think about your arrangement. So very, very cool. So that's big percussions. Now there is so much to go through there, and then we've got some small ones as well. You would have noticed there were some solo instruments as well. Okay. So these really, really help with detail. Just going to play one more. So combat solo. Okay, so I love how the panning, depending on the octave you're playing in, changes. Absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, so we've got the solo instruments as well. Let's close that. And then we've got the small percussion. So these are obviously smaller instruments, but there are still ensembles. So we go to the Colossus ensemble, which you think would be a big percussion, but it isn't. And one other thing as well, the samples kind of roll into each other. So in terms of performances, it's so responsive, really, really snappy. And because I program my rhythms in, so I draw them in, just the programming experience is absolutely fantastic. I do play some in as well and quantize them, but yeah, they're so fluid. Yeah, absolutely love it. So that's the Colossus ensemble. And also talk about the name. The reason I mention that is because Colossus sounds really, really big. And this is classed as small percussion. You don't really know what instruments you're playing because they're not your traditional percussion instruments, you know, custom-made, found instruments, just, you know, used and abused instruments. It's really, really cool. So you are going by your ears. And that's what I absolutely love. So Mando Drums Ensemble 1, I think it's called that. Superb. I got Sandrum Volume 1. So if I just go back down to the doubles. Yeah, and I'm hitting my controller quite hard now. So yeah, I don't really want to cloud the wonderful sampling with the sounds of my S61 being hammered, but it is what it is. So yeah, you can just hear how clean and close the instruments are if you need them to be. Absolutely superb. I don't want to ruin it. And I always say there's a lot to be said for just exploring libraries on your own. And this is a great example of where I would do that. So I'm not going to play it anymore. But the content you can see is incredible. Yeah. And then finally, we have the miscellaneous percussion. So things like sticks, we'll be quite at home at. We know what a stick sounds like. Sounds great. Then got Tink Tink Cymbals Dark. I love the fact they're pitched, which is really, really useful for simple work. But you can imagine the amount of effort and time has gone in going from that low velocity to that, and then everything in between. Very, very, well, it's just incredible, really. And they got the light version, just worth hearing in. Brilliant. We got the Trinket, and I couldn't say these earlier. Tronkite, yeah, Tronkies. I don't know. Doesn't help that I can't see it either. Yeah. So these are really, really useful small percussions. Yeah. Lovely. Absolutely love that patch. Let's just do one more. So cymbals, soft bright. So we do have some metals. Lovely. And there we go. That is the instruments tab. And then we have 30 different multis. So let's just, in fact, I'm going to load one up at random. So we'll start at the start. So Dry Blaster, I believe it's called. So I'm going to go back up to the different. Sounds great. Superhero stock. Was it stack? Stack. Anyway, so we have some multis as well, so plenty again to play through. You can see the content is just wonderful, but of course it's the intuitive layout and the way the instrument has been designed is what really seals it for me. It really is an incredible instrument. So yeah, I am really, really impressed. And then of course it's all about how do we compose with StrikeForce 2. And I have made the composition already, so my composer experience is brilliant. I decided to go for something a bit more standard. That I say standard, I mean more basic. So there's not lots of instruments, but there are 10 StrikeForce 2 instruments in there. So see what you think about the composition, and we're going to talk about how I put it together, and then the composing experience. When I was deciding what I was going to create for the StrikeForce 2 demo for this video, I started thinking, where would I use a library? And of course, it is a behemoth of a cinematic percussion library. You could use it for big trailers, giant orchestral epics, hybrid orchestral music, video games. And I started thinking about my first placements, and these were percussive pieces that built over the course of 1.5 to 2 minutes, and they got some sparse elements. So some synths, on this case I've used some voices, and a very small amount of sound design. And I thought it was a great vehicle to show off StrikeForce 2 because it will show it in a couple of different situations. And the first situation is establishing a really, really simple rhythm that we can build on. So I'm using the Galaxy Ensemble and the Warrior Ensemble 1. And because this would be for TV, even though it's just for the purpose of the video that we are making today, we're going to start off with a whoosh. I'm just going to stop it there because that is our established rhythm. Really, really simple. And I played all this in on my controller, then I quantized it. Yeah, so you can see there's a slight variation in velocity in both sets of MIDI. And I'm using the quick keys as well. So just sliding around. I'm using 2 different octaves for the Warrior Ensemble and then a single one for the Galaxy. And straight away, you just have this brilliant driving rhythm. And then just to give it a bit more colour, I put the trinkets and tchotchkes in there. Absolutely beautiful. Love adding metallic elements to various different rhythms. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I'm using the close mix. So if I load up the instrument, there we go. We're as close as we possibly can be. And Laboratory Audio have done an incredible job at sampling all of these instruments so closely. As in, there is so much detail. We've got all the brilliant velocity layers going on, but everything is clean, it's pristine, and it's really difficult to do to still maintain the incredible tone of the instrument. So if I just press play while the instrument's open, you can see those delicious round robins in play there as well. And this is all just straight out the box. I've not done anything to it. But the slider to blend the close and far mix is absolutely brilliant. And then, if we go into the Galaxy Ensembles, you can see it's a little bit further away, but still pretty close. So we've got this really well-established rhythm. And then with the trinkets, if I just click on this, I decided to go a little bit further away, so we've got a bit more cinematic sheen. And interestingly, when I used to make these, I used to love putting massive reverbs on, so Black Hole. I've actually not used any reverbs, external or otherwise. I don't know what I said otherwise. I don't have any hardware reverbs going on either. But it's all out of the box sounds, and that's really, really important. I think the tink tink cymbal, however, yeah, so I took it off there as well. I do use Panman, which I'll talk about in a moment. But anyway, we've got a really, really simple rhythm. And of course, I've stated many times, I was taught by my music teacher, if you have something great, repeat it, but make some variations. So we bring in the solo war drum. If I just press play on that. So that is adding a bit more definition. And then we have the standard cymbal and the tink tink cymbal. So I'll play those together. Okay, and you can hear we have some panning going on. So I did use Panman, which is just randomly, well, it's not randomly, it's a pendulum. And it's just moving the signal to the left and right. And I just really like that effect. So I like percussive elements sort of bouncing around my ears. So when we just play all of this together without any sound design, at this point I'm thinking I should have put these into folders, but hey. Absolutely perfect for a first section. And then of course we have some sound design, we've got some whooshes going on, and then we end up with a downer. And I'm using the trinkets to bring in the next section. Now the next section really, really simple. So we've got the war drum solo, again quite close. We've got some voices. So I wanted some chanting to happen. Okay. And here I'm just bringing in a couple more ensembles. So we've got the Ah Yeah ensemble, and then we had the Skin Drum Ensemble 1 and the Grand Diplomat. And I just felt these complemented each other quite well. But of course, as I have put this together quite quickly, I would actually blend these a little bit better. It's a fantastic wall of sound. And then of course, if we add the trinkets, I put the cymbal in as well. Yeah, it works really, really well. And then we have the next section, and it is just a really, really simple rhythm. I was going to bring in some other instruments. Yeah, so really, really pounding away. But again, when we've got everything working together, we've got the brass flutes. They're doing something slightly different. It's a bit more like a SFX Brahm. Some standard triplets going on there. And a case, sorry, and again this builds. Okay, so we've got the voices going on, and then it takes us to the last section, which is just a build-up of the second section. And again, we've got some sort of bouncing, panning, metallic parts with the tink tink cymbal. We've got the stick ensemble, and it's bouncing this rhythm around with the warrior ensemble and the galaxy ensemble. And I've actually combined the two vocal sections, and again, I believe it's on this one. I've used Pan Man yet again, and I have used Black Hole on this, not on the percussion, but on the vocals. So yeah, so it becomes a bit of a swirly, like things are going to kick off scenario. And a very, very simple triplet ending. But the whole piece is really, really straightforward. And it's just showing like the layering capabilities of StrikeForce 2. So again, if I just solo off just the percussion at the end, it's really powerful. And in terms of timbre, it is incredible. Absolutely brilliant. So it is a short demo, and I've put maybe just over an hour into it. Little confession, I did try and do some orchestral elements in terms of some strings and brass, but that didn't quite work in the time frame I had. But yeah, really great to work with. And when you start hearing things like, say, just the stick ensemble, in fact, if I just play these examples of the same rhythm just on different instruments, and just how it kind of rolls. Yeah, it just sounds brilliant. And of course with the sticks, I'm using Pan Man there as well. I just like the movement. Yeah, really fun to work with. And it is a track that I probably will develop into a sort of full piece that I would use with my publishers. And yeah, I love StrikeForce 2. It's that time of the video once again where I deliver my closing thoughts. What do I think about StrikeForce 2? From the composition walkthrough, the composing experience is absolutely incredible. It's a joy to work with this library. However, when I first installed it, I thought cinematic percussion, so I'm going to go big. I started listening to all of the huge giant ensembles, and I was using far mixes to make it sound really big, cinematic, epic, and it delivered that in spades. But the more I explored the library, the range of instruments was really, really apparent, because you've got more detailed solo instruments, and you have the metals, the cymbals, the sheets. It's a very, very big and diverse library. But then there's more, because I started to understand the library a lot more, and I love the way it's laid out. So you've got the quick keys on the left, so we've got 2 keys from each octave, and you can just get down some brilliant quick rhythms, and if you're a very good finger drummer, that might be all you need. But then of course you've got 5 octaves, so we've got the original octave from C4 to B4, and then you've got the different octaves outside of it, and of course they have all of the different velocity layers in. So the level of detail you can get out of this library is absolutely outstanding. But then I started looking at the GUI, and of course I love using the mod wheel, and notice that you fade from close mix to far mix using the mod wheel, and I absolutely love that, because the close mixes aren't anything that I would normally consider. I just want everything to be big and epic and, you know, wonderful. And these close mixes are a game changer, because they are sampled so cleanly and so delicately, but also maintaining all the power behind the drums. And, you know, we have velocities where it is just the performer putting their finger on the skin of the drum. And it is just astounding how much detail and the level of attention that Laboratory Audio have put into this library. So do I recommend it? For me, my goodness, this is going to be plastered over everything I do for at least the next 3 years. There is so much content, it's going to take ages to actually use all of it, but what I just picked out, especially for the composition and for my template, it's just ready to go. It's mix ready. It just sounds wonderful. You don't have to tinker around too much. And I've even mentioned the round robins as well. My goodness, again, so many round robins. It's a brilliant library. If you need cinematic percussion, it is well worth the investment. And the price tag, yeah, you know, it's sort of above $400. Depends on, you know, like I say, if you've got cross-grade options for the first library, if you buy it on intro price. But it is worth every penny for sure. It will just keep you going for ages. In fact, probably for the rest of your composing career. Well, certainly mine anyway. All that leaves me to say is thank you once again to Laboratory Audio for sending over a copy of StrikeForce 2. If you like what you heard, feel free to leave a like on the video, and of course drop us a comment. What do you like about the instrument? Are you thinking about picking it up? Maybe you already have, maybe have the first StrikeForce library. Just tell us anything you want to about StrikeForce. And then, if you've not done so already, please check out our other videos on YouTube, and of course smash that subscribe button. I've been saying this on our most recent videos, and there's a slight misconception that we make money through affiliate links and advertising, and we don't do any of that. We just love making this content for the composing community. It helps composers out, and of course it showcases the amazing work of the developers. So please hit that subscribe button. That is the best way you can support the channel. So until next time, have a great day, and of course keep making that beautiful music. I'm sure our paths will cross again soon. Take care.